Good evening. So, we have been studying a lot about, or I should say, we have been trying to understand what is this Ncf all about. So, in today's discussion or in today's webinar, we will be discussing what is art education and how is it proving a help in improving the challenges which the children face in learning, and also how does it help in accommodating the needs of the children. Next slide, please, sir. Yes, so let's have a quick introduction to art education. What is art education? It is basically developing creativity, aesthetic sensibilities, and cultural literacy in the students. And here, when we say about literate in understanding culture, what do we mean? Like history or any other subject which is related to someone's culture. If it is produced in front of the students through art, it leaves a long-lasting impact. And if a child grows learning and understanding and giving value to his or her cultural inheritance, then it leads to a different kind of learning. That is a never, eternal learning, I should be calling it as. And moreover, there are we have learned a lot about visual arts, performing arts, which are different ways of giving the same content to the student, but with an assurance that this remembrance by the child is quite a long-lasting one and not the rote learning. Next slide, please, sir. Now, what are the aims of this art education? At first, it promotes holistic development, because when we are trying to put up the same content through any form of art, let's say literary art, visual art, or performing art, like simple in the form of a role play or drama or anything like that, that not only results in child learning something, but also helps in developing some of the skills which are otherwise ignored. Like they learn how to build team, they learn how to they learn how to practice collaboration, they also learn how to resolve conflict, and so many other things, which all in all help in holistic development. It also helps in fostering creativity and critical thinking, just because whenever, like we have seen in the classrooms, when you give, let's say, story writing. Story writing is one of the form of literary art. So whenever a child is given in, let's say, a class is given a story writing as an assessment, each child comes up with his or her own narrative, which is very beautiful, very different, and very creative. This is what is the second aim of inculcating art education. Then, as we discussed, it builds cultural awareness and sensitivity. This is the way through which, let's say we have special assemblies in our school. We have so many of the cultural programs which the children put up on the stage. And while doing this, they learn to value, they learn to understand each other's culture, and they become sensitive, they become sensitive for it, thus, creating a sense of respect. And the fourth aim is it enhances emotional and aesthetic sensibilities, because these are the platforms through which children learn to praise the different forms of beauty around us. And when we say about emotional ability or sensibility towards emotions, they actually not only learn to identify the emotion, but they learn that emotion. Some of the emotions they can easily identify and can work to rectify it if it's a negative overwhelming emotion. Next slide, please, sir. Now, nature of knowledge. Art as a form of knowledge, what does it do? It leads to multiple perspectives. Now, see, perception is something through which it's that lens through which we look at different people on different situations and so on. So here, when we make the child learn through any form of art, we help the child. And this whole concept is all about making the child a learned person rather than a person who's all into cramming and, grasping the thing as been told by the teachers. As our duty, as our work shifts from being a teacher to a mentor or a coach, likewise, the role of the child is also changing. They are not mere graspers now. They all are moving ahead with a wider horizons. They all are learning to explore, what are the different ways through which a situation can be looked and can be portrayed. And other than this, it also enhances cognitive and emotional growth. Why? Because when we, when you combine it, when you integrate art with other subjects, it helps in building the thought process of the children. And once the child starts working on his or her own thought process, cognitive and cognitive cannot be, differentiated. They both go hand in hand. So once the child learns to understand this, build it, name it, they definitely have a better emotional growth. Now, the points which are written over here, if we see, my dear team, my dear friends, or my dear team members, I would call it as, all the things are interrelated. If this is like the second one, and the third one is it develops deeper understanding. Why? Because the more I introspect, the better I understand the other person. Those who are English teacher over here in this webinar, I would like to make a mention of the poem Keeping Quiet. CBSE class 12th curriculum has a poem called Keeping Quiet, which speaks only and only on importance of, doing introspection. So the more you introspect, the better you develop understanding for other. So this way, I mean, this is that sort of, or this is that kind of knowledge which not only enables a child to develop a deeper understanding towards himself or herself, but also for the other person. And we've been talking a lot about cultural identity, not only identifying ourselves with our own culture, but also resonating with culture of other people. And once when you start resonating with something which the other person is putting forward us, we strengthen that bond. This is all what it works at the root level. Any question till here? Anyone has any question to be asking? Okay, next slide.
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Next slide, please, sir. Now, approach to art education and current challenges. See, it is easy to pass on a circular or pass on a notice, but it is very difficult when it comes to ground level or when it comes to practical application of those things. So this particular slide focuses on what should be the ideal approach, but because of some current challenges, how does that ideal approach gets restricted at times? Like when we say interdisciplinary learning, we try to incorporate different subjects, with the different forms of art. It should be practical, hands-on experience through projects, through model making, and so many other things. Then, painting, theater, any form of performing art. It also focuses on learning through doing, like hands-on learning or experiential learning is something which has been now, which has now become an integral part of our classrooms. But what are the challenges we face while we are practicing this? At the first place, we lack trained educators in arts. When we say arts, we are talking about those people who can bring the things together and can put it in the form of content, which not only serves the purpose of educating, but also making them sensitive towards this art, what is art and how and why it should be practiced. Then inadequate resources for practical art education. Like I will be sorry if I sound a little disrespectful, but this has been one of the challenges. Children generally don't prefer sitting in art classes. They bunk the classes. They feel, oh my God, this is a subject, in which we can complete our pending work and this and that. And that is like when we say practical art education, sometimes it so happens, in the timetable also, and sometimes from the teacher's end or from the core end, it is that we lack those resources which are actually required for making the children understand that this, like other subject, also has to be valued. Then it emphasized on rote learning, neglecting creativity. Like, let's a very simple example I'll discuss. In the classroom also, most of the time, by the time children are small, the teachers dictate answers. And sometimes it so happens that this dictation continues on for the senior classes also, wherein we feel, what if the child is not able to build up the language? What if child is not able to, I mean, we have to rush with the syllabus. We have to take so many things into consideration. So that is the point where rote learning not only becomes, something which is imposed on us, but it becomes the need of that hour. And then limited access to regional and local art forms, because not everyone in the teaching field or each and every school does not have a person who is an expert in the regional dialect, if we talk about language, or local art forms. Many of us, like right now, I'm sitting in Bundelkhand, and till the date, I've been living here for past 27 years, and I've been into this field for last 21 years in teaching field. But I cannot say this, that yes, I know each and everything about this Bundelkhand region, its cuisine, its language, its variation. No, and that is a practical problem. I hope this slide is very clear. Can we move to the next slide, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Learning standards, content, pedagogy, and assessment. Now, learning standards. What does NCF emphasize on? Clear benchmark for skill development at each stage. Each and every stage has its own skill development benchmark, which can be brought together, which can be brought up if art education is incorporated in a proper way. It also focuses on process over product, creativity over perfection. It goes absolutely opposite to what the rote learning has been, right? How is the content devised? It inculcates diverse forms like painting, music, dance, drama, and it is not only anything like Nukkad Natak, one of the most beautiful form of putting up the art or teacher or making the child sensitive towards any prevalent issue and all. So when we talk about diverse form of putting the content, we are also ensuring, NCF also ensures that that should be something relevant to our culture, knowledge system. It shouldn't be a vague presentation, but a fruitful presentation. And then the content has to be age appropriate and context based, which we discussed just now. Now, what is pedagogy and assessment? Experiment, experiential, student-centered, inquiry-based. Here, most of the time, the students are given a chance to explore, to widen their horizon. And that is the concept on which assessments are formed. Like, it is more of collaboration and reflection rather than, binding the child into set parameters. Oh my God, this is a question for which I need this answer only. So that is why we can see in question papers and everything, like we have case-based, we have assertion reason, we have language build-up when you talk about subject, and also like, diagrammatic representation of things, analytical thinking. So many things are there which have become an integral part of our assessments these days. Next slide, please, sir.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, sorry. Now with these, like, I would like to hand over the screen to Jyoti ma'am so that she can introduce the next resource person.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was Meenu, ma'am, the resource person and soft skill trainer at SNTTC. She's also a senior coordinator at Allen House Public School. Thank you so much, ma'am. That was so clear. And especially when you were talking about how children often want to just bunk the class, whereas, that's a great transition. That's a sad transition from the part where as a younger child at the foundational stage, everybody wants to go to art class and music class and dance class. And then it becomes, the class where you can finish off your pending work. It's sad, but let's all as teachers work towards not having that be the case. Thank you so much, ma'am. I hope you have inspired a lot of teachers here. Next, I call upon ma'am Aarti ma'am, the resource person and advisor at SNTTC and principal at Saga Public School, Bhopal. She will be enlightening us on education in interdisciplinary areas. The screen is all yours, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jyoti. Meenu ma'am has already introduced, how art in interdisciplinary form can be taken. So let me throw a little light on education in interdisciplinary area. So dear friends, the educators, NEP 2000 has emphasized two important aspects. One is the value of interdisciplinary learning and the need to live in harmony with nature, especially in the context of climate change and environment sustainability. Now, this interdisciplinary thinking allows students to develop a holistic understanding. I hope you all can understand when we see the aims of interdisciplinary education. So the first thing is we have to have a holistic understanding of the world around us by integrating knowledge from various disciplines. And this is what our children need to know. This approach, the interdisciplinary approach, will equip them with the ability to analyze issues from multiple perspectives. And it will apply different methods of inquiry. It helps break down the traditional silos between subjects, and it will make the learning process more relatable and more practical. Additionally, there's an increasing need to balance human society with the environment. And interdisciplinary education helps students make informed decisions to address current and the emerging challenges in this area. They will learn to base their decisions on evidence and reason while advocating for appropriate actions to be taken to solve real world problems. So when we say holistic learning, holistic understanding, the study of these areas will teach students, it will give them the ability to view their nature and social environment, then relate the issues and events in a very integrated manner. They will develop the capacity to use the knowledge, whatever they have learned in the classes. They will have methods of inquiry from more than one discipline. It is not only in science. One issue will be seen from all the subject point of view, whether it is science, whether it is English, mathematics, so from the multiple perspective. And that is how there is a need of balance between the environment and human society from this point of learning. And when we say nature study, at the preparatory stage, they need to know about the world around them. They need to explore the local ecosystem, the environment. They have to understand the tradition and the communities, and they need to be introduced to the scientific inquiry and experimentation. Here I will like to give one example. There is Bal Shodh Mela. This is from the teacher of class 3 to 5. The Bal Shodh Mela is a children research festival which has been designed to foster the curiosity, the research skills, and interdisciplinary learning among students. Now, the author, who has been a teacher of grade 3 to 5 in rural school, he uses this Mela. In fact, he uses this festival as a core part of the pedagogy to help students explore local topics, and that too through the inquiry-based learning. So here students are guided to ask questions. They are made to gather data, and they can draw conclusions on different topics, including different topics like history, geography, and demography of their village, local wildlife, folklore, and businesses. Next, ma'am. So this is how a grade 5 teacher would like to assess the student's understanding, that too on the basis of something very, very interesting. Now, objective of the secondary stage. Foundation stage you have seen. Same way, a grade 9 teacher designed a question to assess students' ability to verify how fake news is different from the real. Now, how did the teacher do that? The teacher provided a specific scenario. The questions were asked how to verify a surprising news article about filling income tax returns twice a year. Students choose forms, options like checking other media resources, verifying on income tax department website, and evaluating the articles, authors, and these various sources. And now this was the questions given to them. The marking scheme will over here will give full marks, full credit to those who are going to take or who are going to select both option A and option B. So I hope it is clear. The objective over here is to design understanding on the basis of interdisciplinary concept. It will promote definitely the critical learning and informed decision making. Students will develop that power to make decision, and it will encourage responsible citizenship through informed environmental choices. Same way, in grade 10s, students will engage with environmental education as a separate subject. Yes, environmental education. Why? Because through this, students will deepen their knowledge, environmental knowledge, the access to various areas, make informed judgments on statements and debates in media, society, and they will use the range of techniques which will be developed in earlier grades to investigate, to analyze, to synthesize, then question, critique, and draw their own conclusions. So this is how we are going to lay emphasis on the real life environmental issues. And then local case studies will be there. Children will have various, they will have their own global perspectives, and they will try to understand sustainable practice and conservation efforts. I mean, I'm sure they will take interest too. Next. Here comes assessment objectives. As students progresses, environmental education, it has become a separate subject. They will analyze what is the cause, they will assess, they will use various skills, and this is now our responsibility to assess it and to see how they are going to use it in future. The preferred solution, whatever the questions can be given. Let me give you one example again, that is from class 10. A question related to human-animal conflict, where they have used a real-life incident. A tiger is there in Madhya Pradesh. Instead of simply asking about the effects of habitat loss, students were asked to suggest the best solution for managing such conflicts. And the preferred solutions were planting shrubs and trees to create wildlife corridors, reflecting a balanced approach that prioritizes both human safety and animal conservation. And this way, students came up with different perspectives. Students came up with so many different solutions. And mind you, this particular approach not only teaches students only to understand complex environmental challenges, but it also, they try to propose informed and sustainable solutions. This is how we can assess them. Here, the objective is not only to evaluate knowledge and understanding, not only to see their practical application of the knowledge, but also to encourage the real life situations where they can reflect, where journals and portfolios will be there, which will encourage students to reflect on their learning journey. So apart from formative assessment, which we have already taken so much in the previous chapters, key assessment strategies have already been discussed. So apart from formative and summative assessment in which project presentations will be there, written tests will be there, we'll focus on interdisciplinary connections, but then reflective assessments will be there. Journals will be there, portfolios will be there, which will encourage students to reflect on their learning journey. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We often hear of, now we have to have project-based learning, and we'll integrate various subjects into one project. And I have heard a lot of teachers complaining about it, saying, oh God, this is one more task. Hopefully that's not going to happen. See, we are solving so many issues with teachers. Hopefully all the participants attending are taking copious notes. Next, I would like to call upon Mrs. Roja ma'am, who is the DAV Master Trainer, and she is the Senior Secondary School Facilitator. I would like to call her to talk to us about physical education and well-being.
Thank you, Jyoti ma'am. And thank you, Aarti ma'am. Good evening, all. Coming to the next session, that is physical education and well-being. Now, physical education in the school curriculum, you see, what exactly it does. It aims at. Can anyone just tell me one? You can read it out also. What does it aim at? Please. I hope you can see their physical education and well-being. The first point, what is it important for? It promotes health and well-being. And it focuses also on the developing physical fitness, motor skills, and social skills through sports and activities. But today we find a lot of change in our children, where we need to encourage them to go out and play and take up this physical activities. So the current challenges that we face today are inadequate infrastructure and resources in schools, limited access to qualified physical education teachers. What we find is infrastructure. There might be schools where there are no grounds for playing, or there might be no resources like the equipments for playing. And also, in some schools, there might not be physical education teachers. And the other teachers who go to take the classes, they just take it as a subject. And the next challenge is the growing sedentary lifestyle among students. Children don't feel like going out and playing. They prefer sitting at home with the mobile or with the, they prefer sitting in the at home with.
Roja ma'am, kindly unmute yourself because I've muted all the participants.
Okay, sir, thank you. Okay, so the challenges here are what we see is that they prefer to sit in front of the TV, or they prefer to sit in front of their mobiles and play games, So that makes them, that brings them to the sedentary lifestyle. So we need to bring them out of it. And also, this NCF says that here we need to incorporate yoga and wellness practices in our curriculum, and that we don't find in some of the in schools. It's not a regular practice. Thank you, ma'am. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay. Learning. Let's see the learning standards by different stages. At different stages, what are the learning styles at different stages? You see, in the preparatory stage, what generally happens? What do you find in the preparatory stage? We find that the children need to develop, their motor skills and their basic fitness concepts. They need to understand. And in this, they should be introduced to small games and playway methods that they use, in their other pedagogies, in other subjects, as well as they should be given free play, but free play should not be guided, rather it should be monitored. And then when we see in the middle stage, a little more development has taken place, will be taking place in the children. Here, the children are mostly teenagers, and they're adolescents. And in that adolescent stage, they would always prefer to be winners, But it is very important that the teachers should tell them how to face, even if they do not win. That is, even only participation and, playing well is also very important. Not just winning is important. And in the next stage, if we see the secondary stage, if you see, the children have grown up a little more. And in this stage, you will find that they are very well built, and they have also good fitness, and they need a little more training, to be good and advanced in their skills too. So these children, because they have changes, in their body, that is, they find changes. We find changes, that physical changes, psychological changes we find in them, and their motor ability is also much better than in the previous stages. And now they would be able to identify which game they are interested in, they would like to play, and they can pick up one. But this does not mean that everybody should be forced to do in this stage, everybody should be forced to do or pick a game. It is to them, it is up to them, it is their choice. Now this game, once they start learning, once they start picking up games, and then they are able to now, you know um, express or reflect or show their leadership skills and teamworks. And these you can even see them, you can encourage them by giving them activities like asking them to conduct the sports events, or any such activities, so that they show out their leadership skills. And so physical education in a way is promoting their leadership, teamwork, etc., through the sports. They will also develop good interpersonal skills. Thank you, ma'am. May I see the next stage? Yeah. Next slide, please. Yeah. See, now at every stage, whether it is preparatory stage or middle stage or the secondary stage, children should be encouraged to play, the local games. These local games are very, they help them to understand and develop so many things. Like you see, there are two examples given here, and a beautiful game here, Fuji, Fuji. Okay. Okay. This game, you see, it is a traditional folk dance and
Sorry,
game
I think
promoting
it is a
fitness from Chhattisgarh. This game is especially the one which you can see the children sitting all in a circle. And those children, they keep singing some songs, and they keep moving, at the same, on their feet, sitting like this, and they keep moving. So that, and the child who, gets tired fast will drop out. And then the winner will be the one who will last till the end. So beautiful game which will encourage, which will actually promote their fitness. And this, you can see the tunnel ball here. This game here is also very interesting. It enhances the coordination and teamwork, how the children are passing the ball from the first to the last, and then from there again they might be able to uh, pass it on to the front. And this is how they can, coordination is very important, which develops in them. uh, Thank you, sir. Next slide we may go to. Yeah. Now coming to the pedagogy and assessment, you see here, pedagogy, that is in the content that we prepare for our students, it should always focus on their active participation in various activities, so that their physical activities and their wellness is always kept in mind. And this the when you are bringing the children into, that is, our plans should always be student centered, so that they are, have an active participation in it. And also it is important to incorporate yoga in it as a part of this curriculum. And that will, other than, it is going to promote them holistically. That is, the physical activities on one side, and the yoga, which will help them to bring wellness in them, become a whole human being, a good human being. Then we can use various instructional strategies, to develop these children. It's very important the way we instruct, the way we keep the children engaged with different instructions. It will be easier for them to learn because the teacher is one who is displaying those activities or being showing those qualities or those values which the child has to develop, and therefore the children will be able to develop in that way. So the pedagogy must have such instructions in them. And now seeing the assessment strategies, if you see formative and summative, you understood. But in this, there is the third one, that is the peer and self-assessment, where which is should be encouraged actually, where the children can first self-assessment, that is reflect on their own personal growth and how they are behaving with their team, how they are playing, are they able to conduct and all that. And at the same time, they should be able to assess their peers, whether they are able to present themselves in a proper way. And in this way, we can assess the children. And observation is the most important thing now for us teachers, excuse me, to, I mean, judge the children. So it's not judge, sorry, I'm very sorry. We cannot judge them. We need to monitor them because the main thing is that we need to develop in them these physical activities and, well-being in them. Because it is very important, it is a need of the hour. It is no work and no play, will, that is the, what is that? No work and no play will make Jack a dull boy, it is. So we need to make them, because NCF has always gone ahead with saying that the teachers, I mean, the students need to be lifelong learners. So when they are lifelong learners on one hand, they should be lifelong healthy human beings. So with this, I would like to end my session here on physical education and well-being. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And just like art education, we got a good idea about how physical education is so important, and also how to make sure, because physical education is something that we kind of think of it as like just games, right? So how to make sure that we are doing productive assessment of the children as well. Okay. Next, we are going to talk about vocational education, and for that, we have Meenu ma'am back with us. Meenu ma'am, the stage is all yours.
Thank you, Jyoti ma'am. So now we are living in the era where we are talking so much about Make in India and all the drives initiated by our government to ensure that, the rich student strength or the future does not go out, right? So I don't believe in that this is something which will come at the, when you reach at the upper level, but it starts from the school level itself. And NCF has already started taking steps for that. And that is the reason why we have vocational education in our curriculum. Now, what is this vocational education? In simple language, if we get an essence to it, it is basically preparing students for different kind of work. It also, provides specific knowledge, kind of, capacities and values. And not only this, but the children also learn to respect, each and every work which earns bread for their family. They should be respecting that. So this part of NCF talks about what is vocational education, why is it important, and what help will it be adding on to the school curriculum. And then, also when we talk about Make in India, when we talk about Atmanirbhar Bharat, we are talking about preparing the students from that very base level, so that once they reach to the age where they're able to understand what's right and what's wrong, they're already into that phase. What I strongly believe is this is one of the initiative which also enables the students to start valuing the hard-earned money. Otherwise, when you put in your heart and soul into something, when you get some extra skill added to your profile, so it not only adds on to the confidence, but also gives you horizons, no, different horizons through which you can earn and make a life for yourself. So this complete part is going to focus on that. Next slide, please, sir. Yes. Approach to vocational education, integration of theoretical knowledge with practical skills, because so far, I mean, education was a couple of years back, it was only about, making the student content ready, but not future ready, right? So somewhere now the steps which are taken ahead, this approach of vocational education is wherein we are integrating, we are making children future ready by taking steps which integrate the theoretical knowledge with practical skills. It emphasizes on real world application and experiences, and that is why we have these case-based studies. Then we have these situation-based questions which we give to children. Collaboration with industries for better relevance. All the children, like we have field visits, we have factory visits, we have all the visits where I mean, under which the children go and see at the core level, how is a particular industry or a factory earn profit, how do they work basically. So this is the approach of vocational education. Next slide, please, sir. Distinguishing between vocational education and skill training, as the chart says, yes, prepare learner for jobs that are, yes, wonderful, wonderful. Now, like if I talk about vocational education, it's comprehensive program leading to qualification. It combines education with skill development, wherein skill education or skill training is a short-term program which specifically focuses on skill development. And it is typically less formal than vocational education, but the century or the time where we are standing, it is all about gaining degrees, getting degrees along with developing skill. So this step taken by NCF focuses completely on that. How are we making children future ready? When they move out of the school, they not only learn how to value each and every vocation, they also learn how to, start earning money and how to become independent, very much in alignment with Atmanirbhar Bharat, this scheme which we spoke about a couple of minutes back. Next slide, please, sir. Dignity of work and exposure, as I was talking about. See, this is this particular step enables in promoting respect for all form of work. No work is small, no work is big. It's only the dignity with which we work. It also encourages students to explore diverse vocation now, because no, the mindset of children is changing. Bygone are the days when children would just be a part of rat race. I want to become a doctor or an engineer only. So when we are giving exposure, when NCF is giving exposure wherein children can actually explore diverse vocation, they can make up their mind like, no, not only 2 or 3 fields are there which are made for us, but we can choose according to our skill, our inclination, our learning, and also keeping our familial background in mind. It also provides experiential learning opportunities in different fields, because the more you go, the more you practice hands-on learning, the better you become. Typology of vocation for NCF, it basically focuses on tradition occupation with which India is aligned. We say agriculture, we say craft, because we are standing at the verge where we are about to lose all the artisans. There are so many art forms which are already into the zone of, not existing. So with this step, all those craftsmanship, all those artisans will be brought back, and then, every possible art form can be revived. It also focuses on modern industries, that is IT and healthcare, because here I'm remembered of that one speech given by PM Modi, where he said India is no more known as country of snakes. We have learned how to play well with mouse, right? So here, notion is very clear. We are not forgetting about our roots, but we are also, moving ahead with basically, one foot firmly grounded in the tradition, wherein the other making steps ahead to take that world into this fist, right? It also focuses on emerging fields like sustainable technologies, definitely, which has become need of our going through sustainable, developing more of sustainable energy resources and this solar panel and whatnot we've been talking about. And also, if we are doing so good, why not to bring that into the knowledge of world for which we have exposure for digital media. Right now, each and every school, small or big, each and every school has a Facebook page, Instagram page. Why are we doing that? It's all we are doing that because we want our children to learn to strike a balance between everything and also to put it forward in front of the world. Next slide, please, sir. Now, what does it actually aim at? Dignity of work, wide-ranging exposure, forms of work. And when I say dignity of work, it also goes in alignment with respect of education. Now, which kind of education I may be probably talking about? Education, not the formal, but the informal education as well, which leads to, learning a particular kind of a work. And we have already spoken a lot about experiential learning opportunities. We also had work with life forms, machine, material, and human services. These all are the form of work with which NCF goes in alignment with. So keeping dignity of work in mind, to providing wide range exposure and also giving chances to explore different form of work is all lines on which NCF works. Next slide, sir. State-wise design and selection principle. Let's talk about foundational and preparatory stage. Here, it's developed pre-vocational capacities, like how we all have these life skills period in our classes, wherein very basic things are taught to the children, right? We also, like, the next step goes in alignment with what first step I spoke about, introduction to various skills and basic work principles. Like right now in my school, the children are busy developing this complete, they have actually constructed this, a road inside the school. For what? So that they wanted to learn they wanted the younger children to learn the street do's and don'ts. This is what, this is just an example through which I wanted to explain how are we developing various skills into the children. Principle of selection of vocation from within forms of work, align vocational choices with students' interest and strength. We always believe, like NCF strictly goes with this saying that do not impose anything on children, rather do their SWOT, identify their strength, their weakness, their opportunities, the threat, and only then incorporate a personal, a proper vocational choice for the student. It also ensures relevance to local and global job market, because we are standing at the verge where local practices are almost at depletion. So this will also help in bringing local practices to the global level, and also it will promote inclusivity and accessibility in vocational training. So these all are the principles based on which we should be giving opportunities to our students for making them learn these vocational occupations. What to choose, why to choose, doesn't go in alignment with my culture, with everything. What is my ecosystem? Basically, analyzing the ecosystem of the student and then putting forward that vocational option in front of the child is what NCF focuses on. Next slide, please, sir. Yes, so here I end up my presentation, and with this, I hand over the screen again to Jyoti ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We actually did refer to vocational education almost 2 to 3 times during the other chapters that we covered. And I think here we took the opportunity to actually, list down all the methods, all the things to be kept in mind, how to go about selecting the correct vocation, what are the different work forms. Everything was crystal clear. I hope all the participants agree. Now, to talk about the subjects in grade 11 and 12, as you know, when we talk about secondary stage of education, we kind of divide it into 9th and 10th, and then 11th and 12th because of the stream selection. So there is a little bit of a change there, and we really need to know what the subjects are, which most of us know about, but there is a little bit of a limitation there. We kind of assume, oh, these are the 3 subjects we'll take, and we don't have to think about the others. Let's see what are the other subjects, what are the offerings available, why should these subjects be taken seriously. We have Aarti ma'am back with us to elaborate on these things. Welcome, Aarti.
Thank you, Jyoti. Thank you so much. And dear audience, we have already discussed about the design of the secondary stage and the kind of subjects we have in class 11th and 12th. If you remember, that was a part of chapter 2. This chapter details the design of the subject that students will study in grade 11 and 12. And as described there, the student will have a lot of flexibility, choice of the subjects that they want to study. They would choose from the subjects on offer from the school. And to truly enrich the education in these grades, that is class 11 and 12, schools have to offer a wide range of subjects. That has been suggestion of NCF 2023. Moving on to the next slide. Now, so we can see how the national curriculum, this is the national curriculum framework for class 11 and 12. It emphasizes students' choice, flexibility. The schools are encouraged to have a diverse range that I told you. The framework highlights how importance of achieving both breadth and depth in education. Breadth and depth. Breadth means they can select from a wide range, and depth, then how the content has been decided, what are the learning principles, what was the principle guiding there, how the content had been made. So students are expected to gain a comprehensive understanding of whatever essential concepts are there, whatever the contemporary issues are there. They are made to think, they are asked to devise solutions. That's again the project-based studies that we have already told. And then some generic curricular goals are there, which is actually preparing students for independent studies, and it will definitely be a help in the higher education. Now, this NCF provides illustrative subjects. It gives a design of the principles which guide schools in effective curriculum development. So that was all about the overview of the subjects. Next. Now, I will take one subject much in detail. Let me start with social science. Now, social science and humanity curricular areas, it offers history, geography, political science, psychology, and mental health, psychology and mental health. Psychology is one subject. Psychology and mental health is the another one. Economics, then development economies, then sociology, anthropology, then archaeology and philosophy. When we talk about humanities, all these subjects are part of it. Now, what is the principle for designing course in philosophy? That's what I said. We will take one subject much in detail. Now, when talking about the philosophy, students here will understand and appreciate the rich traditions of Indian philosophical thought. It will be an exploration of the fundamental questions where they will ask about existence, the knowledge, and ethics. Let me take this thing in detail. They will be able to explore contemporary issues in light of classical Indian philosophy. The students will be able to understand and they will be able to synthesize. They will understand the synthesis of ancient India and later Western ideas from the view of 20th century Indian thinkers. And last but not the least, they will develop an ethos that will enable them to become better citizens, which actually is our objective. Coming on to the content area. Now, what do we want? We want reasoning to be the focus. Reasoning will be the focus on different kind of, and that to different kind of reasoning, formal as well as informal. If we talk about content area 2, after reasoning, it is knowledge and skepticism. Now here the students will focus on the problem of trust. The students will focus on testimony. The students will have expert knowledge, and that will come through exploring questions. And the questions will be such, how do we know whom to trust when given experts cannot agree on the given issues? How can we trust some witnesses as believable and others as not in the court of law? On what grounds can we judge that a given website or news source is biased? And I'm sure when we conduct those MUNs in the school, when we conduct all these competitions in the school, can you suggest few competitions that we have been conducting in our school where secondary level students are encouraged to ask questions on such ethics or reasoning or whatever? Come on. Today, our audience has not participated as yet. Come on, audience. Suggest some activities where we can challenge our children, where they become thinkers, where diverse philosophical traditions have been challenged, where they are able to connect between the new and the old tradition philosophy. Mock parliament. Very good. Good, Arshi ma'am. Mock parliament. Anybody else? MUNs, recently you must have seen every student, every school. I'm sure these things are happening. Moot courts.
Elections.
Yes, moot courts.
Elections.
Elections. Perfect. Good.
School elections.
School elections. We conduct school elections. Definitely. Whenever such elections are going to happen, we conduct some role play so that they come and know, they are able to understand, the role of political parties, all such things. And apart
Even
from,
even
yeah,
on Teachers Day, they do organize, the body of a school
yeah,
with different roles like principal, teacher, staff. That also
I think
inculcates
that is the best
values.
way of developing empathy in the students and making them understand the responsibilities.
That's true. Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. So, what we have talked about, what are those two, content area? One content area is reasoning. Second content area is knowledge and skepticism. Let me come on to the third content area, that is ethics. Now, through this content area, students are introduced to the ethical reasoning, where this ethical reasoning becomes a part of their thinking. And they think about moral issues, cheating, violence, plagiarism, littering, tolerance, equality, empathy, and these things they are facing in their day-to-day life. We try to enable them to consider the ethical dimensions of these matters. And the last is, not last, one more, philosophy of mind. Now here, children have to think, what exactly are we? What is the nature of Atma? So that's how this subject elaborates on. Environmental philosophy, don't miss on that. Through this, students will be able to think abstractly about the questions. Who is to be blamed for the climate change? And are these current solutions ethical? So these are the philosophies behind designing courses in, philosophy as a subject. We lay emphasis on critical thinking. We try to trigger the dialogue so that, their problem solving skill is developed. And we try to include diverse philosophical traditions. And content areas, I said, major philosophical content areas are reasoning, knowledge, ethics, metaphysics. And here we try to make children aware about the key philosophers and their contributions. Next. After social science, history, as I've already taken. History, it is basically we are trying to explore the historical events, movements, and their impact on society. Through history, we try to do that. Through sociology, we try to study the social behavior, institutions, and structures. And science, again, physics, chemistry, biology. Biology is for the study of living organisms, the entire ecosystem. Chemistry is exploration of their substances, their properties, reactions. Physics, it is basically understanding the law. So, let's talk about the remaining subjects that complete the well-rounded curriculum. So this well-rounded curriculum, if PCM, it is chemistry, maths, physics. If it is history, sociology, economics, if a person is from the humanities. So what we need to do is, we have to actually see a complete development of the child, what all needs to be developed as he's a part of this, as students are there in the secondary classes. Next. So mathematics and computational training. Again, it will cover the core and advanced mathematics. It will take on computer science. And again, what is the goal over here? The goal is to focus on the mathematical, reasoning, and problem solving skills. If we talk about art education, we want children to appreciate art. We want them to look for the management in future. And best way to plan out their content is so that they can understand various art forms, their history, and how it can be taken up in future in creative industry. Talking about physical well-being, physical education is a priority. Here the emphasis will be on fitness, here the emphasis will be on health, and then development of the motor skills. So again, physical well-being is a priority, and physical education promotes fitness and motor skills. And lastly, we have interdisciplinary areas where media is there, journalism is introduced. We teach students about media literacy. We make them aware about communication and ethical journalism. A variety of languages are there. A variety of languages are offered. We have already discussed about it in R1, R2, and R3. And this provides students with both regional linguistic skills and global communication capabilities. R1 is native language, R2 is foreign language, and R3 is classical language. Native language, definitely, it is for the promotion of regional languages. Foreign language, to develop the global communication skills. And to understand the heritage and literature, multilingualism, I'm sure the entire community of educators is quite aware of after NEP has been introduced. So it is basically to understand the heritage and literature. That's all for today. Over to Sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am. This was such a good comprehensive analysis of all the subjects of 11th and 12th. I think only a principal could do that. Thank you so much, ma'am, for that. Now, since we have come to the end of this, I would just like to quickly summarize what we covered today. And here, if you remember, Meenu ma'am talked about art education and vocational education, and how art education does not only entail like painting. We are talking about performing arts. We are talking about all kinds of art. So whether it is dance, whether it is drama, correct. We talked about, and if you see, there is a theme building throughout, right? Where we talk about how our Indian roots we are focusing on, and that be it art education or even vocational education, where if you think about the forms of work, the first form of work is involving life forms, which is agriculture. And we know India is an agricultural economy, right? So after that, we had Roja ma'am talk about physical health and well-being. And that was another great session. I think today, the theme of the session today was how we need to, focus our attention on these kind of ignored subjects, or kind of we give the stepmotherly treatment to these subjects, and we need to stop doing that. We need to understand the logic behind it, because we often see so-called curricular teachers telling the other teachers, you can give me that class. You really don't need that class, right? Whether it is circle time or art class or a dance class, a music class, a PT class, please take it seriously. Understand that we are not trying to develop so-called smart children. We need to develop well-rounded children as well. And for that, we need to ensure that they get equal exposure to all these subjects. And I think Aarti ma'am rounded it up very well when she talked about both interdisciplinary subjects, which is integrating various subjects into one kind of a well-balanced thing, and also when she talked about the subjects in 11th and 12th. Yes, NEP 2020 also talks about art integration in teaching learning. And again, that talks about how we are kind of talking about the interesting ways in which you can integrate one subject into another, and kind of, it is, if you do it well, it is a way to get your work easier for you and for the students, because they understand how these are not isolated islands. They are a well-connected web of subjects that we need to understand all about. I hope this was a very fruitful session. If anyone has any feedback to give, since tomorrow will be the last session for NCF, if you have any doubts or anything that you want us to just quickly cover tomorrow, please feel free to share. No one?
I have a question, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, are we able to implement all this in all the schools across India? Because as has been started in 2020, are we able to art integrate and bring all these changes equally across all schools, or this just happening in the metro cities?
So, honestly, this is not 2020. First of all, we are talking about the NCF, which is 2023. NEP was 2020.
Yes, ma'am.
But
It started from there actually, so we
Correct.
started implementing these things from there.
Correct. See, it is a step-by-step process, but unless we talk about it, unless we have a conversation, unless this reaches every single school, well, that's the effort we are making.
I would like to just take a second as to address Pushpalata ma'am's query. Pushpalata ma'am, as per the records, like when we speak about art integration, especially the query from your end was about art integration. Are we able to do? So several, like trainings were given to teachers, mostly now everyone is aware that in a CBSE school, like we have to do art integration projects. Awareness is definitely there in all the CBSE schools. There is no doubt, because all the schools are filling their SQAAF thing. Okay. But
Yes.
as you are asking, is everyone doing? Let me tell you, again, as you know, this record lies with CBSE only. So we cannot say how many people are doing. But as a resource person and as a CBSE principal, I believe that no one would, any CBSE school would never, any CBSE school's principal would never, like try to skip art integration or anything that is quoted in NEP 2020, because for everything we are filling the Google forms along with the proofs, maybe a video or maybe a pic. The CBSE has made it mandatory. Along with every circular, every celebration, every activity, CBSE is sending a Google form wherein we have to submit the proofs also. So I cannot give you a quantitative answer. Maybe if Aarti ma'am could add few more points on this. Yes.
Yeah, please allow me, sir. See, ma'am, NCF is based on the vision of NEP. So we have to provide a holistic, we have to provide a flexible and an inclusive education to all. We have to do it. We have to prepare students for the challenges of 21st century. We need to eliminate rote learning. Definitely challenges will be there. Student teacher ratio will be one challenge. Recruitment of teaching and non-teaching staff will be another challenge. Challenges will be there with the working and the other teachers, updating them, upgrading them. Lot of trainings are to be there, but we have to enable students to pursue multiple interests as it is suggested by NCF, and we have been doing all these days. We have to take it up. And in fact, if you have been in the CBSE school, I'm sure the SQUAF and all, whatever we have been filling, it is only to ensure that we are following these systems. The schools have to do it. Thank you.
And thank you so much, ma'am. That was really informative. Can I rephrase my question a bit?
Yes, of course.
Please.
I just wanted to know that when we talk about equity, that you've been talking about yesterday. Sorry, I could not ask a question. I was having some connectivity problem. So when
Yes,
you talk
yes.
about equity and bringing equal opportunities to everybody, are we able to give it to some remote school in India somewhere where they're not even able to get a proper teacher to their school? How do we ensure that education is really equal for all? Are we able to ensure that as teachers? Or is it just overloading us and, just making us meet some goals which maybe we are not able to, do justice to the kid, and then we feel, after at the end of the day, we feel we are not being able to do justice to our work. I think
Okay,
something like that also is a part of our job.
okay, okay. Great, ma'am.
Sir,
So, ma'am, on
if
yeah,
you don't
Jyoti.
mind, I would like to say something. This is not nothing to do with NCF actually. I just want to share a personal experience of mine. I come from like when I studied when I was in school. I studied in a very simple state board school, and I don't even think we knew the word equity at that time. I'm sure our teachers did, but I don't think we did. And yet there was a child in one of like she was one of my juniors who happened to be deaf and mute, and there at that time even the RTE wasn't there, a Right to Education Act hadn't been passed. And yet I remember there was absolutely no qualms about and I'm talking about a small town here. I'm not talking about like I'm in Hyderabad now, but that's not where I was at that time. So considering that, there were no qualms. Children would help her out, and she would also be a little more on her toes. Teachers were so involved in making sure it is easy for her, and considering all of that, I feel like as long as there is intention, there is always an opportunity for ensuring that equity. I am not the quantitatively, and when it comes to NCF, I think Sir or Aarti ma'am would be the best people to answer these questions. But I feel like I just wanted to put that in, that intentionality is extremely important. And I see the cynicism, but I think the humanity in us does kind of shine through in these situations.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, speaking about again whether are these things reaching to the rural areas? That was your question. So just to uh, put in front of you all what I have observed all these days as a principal of a CBSE school is that again, uh, 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 like every day CBSE is giving the upgraded information about the implementation of NEP. Now, the document itself says that time has been given to all the educational institutions till 2040 to implement things slowly. Like in 2020, they said there will be reduction in, portion. They started with grade 3 and grade 6 this year, the subjects. Now, grade 1 also they have done. So in this way, every year, CBSE, the board itself, it is taking some time as to do the changes that it has quoted or the educational ministry has quoted in the document, which is NEP 2020. So definitely, as you said, may not be all the rural schools have, it may not be that all the rural schools or the schools which are towards the remote areas have got the necessary training to implement all the things that have been said in the document. But yes, steps are being taken in every nook and corner of the country as to make sure that the CBSE schools are implementing these things. If Aarti ma'am could add a point to this.
Sir, I would like to add on over here, if you have heard about CM Shine, PM Shri schools, and not only that, if you just go through those Navodaya Vidyalayas, the Kendriya Vidyalayas from the new corner of different, they are actually following it. They are actually doing it. In fact, their system of taking, interviews of the teachers, their system of appointments, their system of taking in children, it is far difficult than our private schools. And yes, again, I would say government is making sure that NEP and NCF has to be followed in the schools every day. They even make sure that we are celebrating these festivals in our school. So it is not only in our schools, every nook and corner they are. Otherwise, these days affiliations can be cancelled. These days inspections are there. So things are, I mean, they are getting firm. They are
Recently, there were
getting rigid.
inspections in Rajasthan and Delhi, and they have
Yes,
given the
latest,
show
yeah,
cause notice
inspections were
also. There
there.
was a
Yeah.
circular. Yes.
Yeah, and
Yes.
So
excuse me, I would
change
like to
will be
add a
there
point.
by and by, but by and by, slowly, simultaneously, the changes will be there. And let us be positive. If we as a group of educators are positive, I'm sure half of the work is already done. Let's do our work.
Yes, Aarti
Absolutely,
ma'am,
ma'am.
what you
Thank
said is absolutely correct, Aarti ma'am. I just wants to add a point. 625 districts of remote village areas has been implemented right now, and we can just search it in Google also. Already it has been implemented. 625 districts in, I mean, remote areas in all over India, it has been implemented. So equity is being given actually, and everybody is taking steps towards it also.
Thank
But
you
we are
so
happy
much.
that Pushpalata ma'am has brought up this query so that
Okay.
there might be
you.
many people who were hesitant to ask this question, but still we could address it. Thank you so much, Pushpalata ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Excuse me, sir. I would like to tell you that they have made compulsory for all the faculties of the school to, do the training. Training is compulsory nowadays
50
to know
hours.
the,
Yes. Hmm.
yeah. So I think each CBSE school or any school, I think they should do the training to know more about this NEP 20.
Yes.
I
They have done,
think
ma'am.
take more time to implement because in our country,
To reach the rural also, the rural part. So training is essential, I guess. So they should undergo the training, which is being given by the different organizations of CBSE. Thank you.
Samraj sir was speaking something. Yes, sir, please.
sir, actually, in our country, I think it need more time because we know there are 33 boards are conducting secondary exam in our country. So surely we need time. It's not so easy to come all the boards to NAP 2020, but it will take time. Around 5 to 10 years, it will be totally implemented, I think so. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So I suppose we have come to an end of today's session. And I should really appreciate all the resource persons from the bottom of my heart for their, it's not an easy thing, to sit, make the gist of the chapters of a 600 pages document and come up with it for the audience in such a way that definitely there will be a takeaway for them after this 1.5 hours of session. And the way they are putting the things beautifully, and I'm really unhappy to accept this truth that from day after tomorrow we are not going to have any NCF sessions, because it's been a wonderful journey to for all these 4 days, and we have had a wonderful set of participants. Oh my God, I'm really happy because I feel that the cream is sitting here. The cream of teachers who have been churned out of the best schools are sitting here. Thank you so much, participants. You people have really boosted up the morale of all resource persons and me as well. So the people who would like to grab a certificate for today's session, you all know the process. You need to send an amount of rupees 50 towards this number 9908925730, Google Pay, Phone Pay, or Paytm, and kindly send a screenshot of the payment along with your name. If you are concerned about your titles like Miss, Mr. and Mrs., please do add that as well. And within 24 hours, you will be getting your certificates. And tomorrow is the last day of NCF, and we are going to cover 2 parts. So expecting you all to be there. And tomorrow we also have felicitations for this wonderful group of persons whom we have had all these days. So we are wishing to see you all tomorrow again in the final and the last session. Thank you.
Sir, 1 minute, sir. I have a small dog. Yesterday,
Yes.
due to network problem, I have not sent the money, and so can I send it for yesterday and today by today?
Yes, please. Yeah, you can do that. You will be getting the certificate.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Ditto emotions as Ravi sir has. Thank you, Punita ma'am. Yeah. Good night, everyone. Have a wonderful night. Yeah. So we are not doing the quiz. I am happy that someone has asked about the quiz. Yeah, we are not doing the quiz this time. We are going to have another session after 10 or 15 days about NCF for foundation stage. So let us see if we can conduct a quiz at that point of time. Yeah. Thank you.